All right. So, welcome. You can see some people are filtering in. Thank you for joining us on the Lunch and Learn. I'll give a few more moments for some more people to trickle on in. Well, I almost said morning. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Monday. I know we didn't have any pre-submitted questions for right now, but while the morning went through, did anybody have anything they wanted to bring up, talk about, any questions, comments, or concerns? Hey, Dave, still struggling to figure out something on a report. What you got?
Oops. Hey, can you hear me?
I sure can. I think
Oh,
I've worked with you before. It's good to see you again.
yeah, it's good to talk to you again.
Yeah.
I'm getting really close. I guess I'm really kind of falling short on. So I've got this. I'm just building like a contract submission system for our contracting team. Just kind of as one of our first projects to dip our toes in and get everything training and all that stuff. And I've got a great page dashboard set up, and in that there is a link on there, which we figured out on one of our other lunch and learns, and how to put a link to when somebody submits a document with their request. So that's cool. Now the problem is just trying to figure out how to hide that link when there is no attachment. And it seems like there's a couple ways to do it, but I don't really. Jared kind of went into it a little bit on Slack, but I just didn't. I was traveling, so I also didn't really have the time to kind of follow up. And you know how it is, like once you get like deep into something and then you stop, you're like, wait, where did I leave off?
Ah, yes, I
So
must start all over again now. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of different ways, and I can't remember what he had suggested. He had suggested maybe the route of the entity action visibility, but I really didn't understand how to use that. It didn't really click, and I couldn't find any documentation on like how for this kind of use case, but maybe you can help.
Sure. So if I'm understanding, right, so we have a link that shows up under an action, and we're just trying to see if we can get that link to disappear, correct?
Only appear if there is a link. So I do have a rule that says, is there an attachment? Oh, there isn't an attachment. Great, then don't display this. But I'm not exactly sure how to like do that in a report.
Okay, so let me see. So we have a report. Try and create like a dummy version of what you got here, just so I can. Yeah, I don't need to name it anything extra fancy, I don't think. Okay, so I'm just going to create something really basic. Sure, something easy. Okay. So we have this report here, and then you make a dashboard that can link to this report, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I've got this is embedded in a page.
Okay.
But I've just been it just won't even work on the report. That's I think what is. So like there'd be another field in here that has a download attachment basically.
Okay.
And it shows up for all of them, of course, but not all of them have an attachment. So just don't want that link to show up or display in that column.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know the visibility actions, like what Jared brought up, is where my mind went to also. It's just a matter of getting this to translate
And
well or throw it together pretty quickly enough to
yeah,
show you. So
yeah.
let me see. Is any other panelists, if you hop on the doc page, do you have, or can you search any, first of all, Dave, are you on version 8, version 7? I can't remember which one.
8.2. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. If we hop on the doc page and look under reports and actions on the report, there should be where we can trigger visibility actions with that rule that you've made. So you should be able to, yeah, dynamically change what shows up per field, or even with the state that it's in. It might be possible, depending on the state that any given record is in, that you
Yeah.
should be able to update those actions here. Let me see.
And there for my specific use case, there's two ways we could go about running a rule. One is, is there
Sure.
an attachment? Is there a file reference present? If yes, then great. Other one is during the process, they will actually submit a radio button that says, yes, I do want to attach something. Then the file upload shows. So that's probably a little bit easier to use. So I've been using that one as well. But again, it's the entity action visibility one that just kind of couldn't figure it out from the documentation.
Entity action visibility. Yeah, I'm hopping on here right now just so I can see. All right, so
Because
bear with
it
me just a
seems
minute.
like you need to create I think where I got kind of wrapped around the axle was you have to create a user action, and I'm not really familiar with those yet.
Okay, I know that they're by the structure type. I know you mentioned entities. Are we working with entities right now?
I have a flow entity extension, I believe. So
Okay, that
I always get that name wrong.
yeah, flow execution it's one of those, there's 3
It
words in it.
is
Yeah.
the flow execution extension.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
the
the
one that
one.
you use when you're dealing with like cases and requests and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
that's what I was thinking, like if you could have a dynamic with a case.
Yeah.
I have one of the panelists looking at the doc page now. I'm also scrolling through it because you can do visible when logged into an account does not contain local. Yes, yes, yes. It might be helpful if you could see what I'm also looking at. I know you've already looked at this doc page, but here, let me
Yeah.
go back in here. So I do use dark mode. Sorry for anybody who
No, no
doesn't
worries.
like dark mode. All right, so here's our example that it gives us right here. So creating the user actions, it gives you this is a little tough to see, but you see this entity configuration folder here.
hmm
So when you go in here, this is what allows you to make those actions, so on and so forth. And you can have them do whatever you need them to do. And then what it's saying is that through these, you should be able to make this visibility rule, which you have the rule already, you said, right?
Right, right.
So we have the rule where step 1 is good. Within the rule designer, we have step 2. When you add the condition, yes, okay, so this is all good. So when we go to debug, when logged in, it's not contained, create insurance claim action is visible to use. So this action is visible based on this rule here. If it
And
doesn't have,
so I was never really able to get that user action created. And so
oh,
that's I
okay,
think where I was kind of like, okay, hold on. But I really don't
sure,
understand what a user action is. I've never really seen that part yet. So
sure. So the user action is just like if somebody, the picture actually shows it pretty good. If somebody were to click on an area in this report,
uh-huh.
these
Oh, it's just
bolded
a
ones,
shortcut.
yeah, it's whatever you need it to
Yeah.
be. It can be almost anything you want, right? Normally people do the CRUD actions, right?
Yeah.
Update, delete, create, whichever you need. So this should run a rule that makes them see. So this create insurance claim is here if it has local in the email, but if it doesn't, it disappears. So
Mm.
this is the core of what you're trying to get at, correct? Like if you want, if
Mm.
rule is true, action disappears. Yeah,
Right. Only on a report.
only on a report. Yeah. So this is
Right.
just that's all that this is right here too.
Yeah.
So what you should be able to do, let me see if we can create just like a dummy version of this really quickly. All right. action viz. Just make a project in here. All right, and I just need to put a record in this guy. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. Wow, I'm learning something new. Sorry, the Zoom just showed me a new feature. Oh no, it keeps flicking back. Are you still able to see my decision screen?
I am, yeah.
Okay, solid, thank you. So if we need to make, also, one of the other panelists, Ashley Byer, is also looking through the documentation too. So just in case we miss anything, she can pop in and let us know. So
Yeah,
just
I
in
was gonna
case you weren't,
actually ask real quick.
Yeah.
So with the user actions and stuff, we kind of just took him through that. Remind me again, just because I've been reading a lot and I kind of forgot. I apologize, Dave. Exactly what we're looking for, being able to show those user actions and hide them, or
Yeah. Actually, you guys want me to share my screen, show you what the report actually looks like?
that would be awesome, actually.
yeah,
Okay.
if you can, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing here. You saved me a lot of work, so I'm down with that.
Yeah, all right, let's see here. Oh, I think you still have to make me a panelist or something.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can actually do this. Who can share? Panelists, I see.
I think you just have to add me and then it kicks me out and it rejoins me and then I'm in.
Am
Yeah,
I
there we
able
go.
to do that? Okay, good. I was like, I don't know if I have that power, but
I just promoted him to panelist.
oh, you got the power now.
It's probably gonna
Thank you.
remute you, Dave, so you'll have to come off mute again.
There we are.
Perfect.
You see
Okay,
everything just fine?
Sure
Yeah.
can.
All right, cool. So yeah, so like over here, right? Like we've got our download NDA, right? So this actually works perfectly, and this is just run inline entity flow, or yeah, runs.
Gotcha.
All these words together. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. So that works, but obviously, not all of these have one, so we need to be able to hide those. So I would assume then that I would then go back out into here and actually go into my data types folder. And I'm a very organized person. So
we love the labels. We love it.
yeah, right. Like, I mean, hey, you're going to look at this stuff all day. You might as well put fun icons in and stuff. So
I do agree.
Okay.
So this configuration folder is it, right? So this
is it right
where
here.
we can, yeah, that's where we can configure those user actions is in here. So
Gotcha.
we have the action
Okay.
visibility rule.
Yeah. So I wonder if that's,
You should be able to pick the rule that you make too. So when you create, you can name it whatever you want to, like can see download or can see attachment, whichever.
Okay. So if I create this, I could have sworn I already did this, but it didn't. It just wasn't doing anything. And that's where I was like, okay, this is weird.
That's okay. It's going to work when you do it with us
Yeah.
now. So.
Oh, I love taking my car into the mechanic.
Yeah. Funny noise.
So here, I guess we have to
just make our statement rule. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So just yeah,
you're on the right track here.
Yeah. So where do we want to? This is different. Oh, so this is my flow entity.
Yes, and then you can pick the field that you want to focus on. So
yes, okay. So use your own NDA is a yes no. I mean it's string, but it's yeah. And then equals, right?
Or contains, whichever is easier. If it's going to be a fixed string, then
it's a fix. It's either yes or no. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Case insensitive, yada yada. Okay. So that is it, right? Like that right there should say, yeah, because all of them, all the requests ask that.
Yes, as long as you're not doing any other conditions, as long as this is all you need, we should be good with this just right here.
Okay.
So we'll save it.
All right. So, okay, cool. So now, well, see, that's the funny part. Should I have actually, because the documentation says actually to go down here, and I believe it says create group user action.
Right.
And
so if
then
anybody,
action visibility rule.
So it says here in designer, right click, and it just says action visibility rule. And then create the rule. Doesn't say anything about the group users. That would be more if you wanted just specific people to have access to this.
Okay. All right. Yeah. But by
this
default, it
guy.
should just show for everyone. So, okay.
Right.
Now, I guess the question is then how do you actually go about applying that to a report?
Yes.
So
So
we've got our user action.
let me think about this really
Yep.
quick because we
Plus.
need, do we have the customized action that we want to see? Which, or no, it's just like being able to see it on the actual report is what we're working
Yeah.
with. Okay. So these
Okay.
are actions. I don't, go ahead. Somebody was going to talk.
Yeah, I was just gonna point out, Dave, your user actions are different from your action visibility rules in the sense that like if you create a user action, that would be available on a right click on your report. So you can create a user action to edit a rule or something, and that would be available if you right click the report. That make sense?
Gotcha. Okay. So a visibility rule, action visibility rule is just on by default, right? Which is what we're looking for.
Right.
That is what we're creating.
Gotcha.
Right now.
Okay. Yeah. So user action is add something to this right click menu.
Yes.
Basically. Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, Sandel, you hopped in right when the wire clicked for me too, because if you're just looking specifically on the report, the actions don't necessarily touch this, because what you want to be able to do is not look at this field when the condition is met.
Right.
Like hide it or, okay. Let me think, because I'm wondering if a selection bus filter would be better here. Because what you could essentially have is two reports. One that shows this download, and this is like my line of thinking right now, right? So you could have one report that shows this download NDA, this guy, and then one report that does not, and then have a rule that would filter out anything. Where's that yes and no field that you mentioned?
That yes and no field, there's actually a field in here called something like use your own NDA is its own field. It's just a yes or no.
Okay, because what you can choose to do is you can have one report, but like on the top where it says data fields, you can choose to show this or not, right? So have one report have it and one report run. Oh my goodness. One report have it and one report not have it, right? And then through this filter, you can filter out all the yeses and the nos of that field. And then what you could do is hide that field so not everybody's always looking at it all the time, because you can choose to have that field specifically be visible. And then depending on what somebody picks, that each report will show up respectively. So if somebody is saying, I want to see the fields with the download NDA available, you can look at the report and it would show up report A. And then if you wanted to look at the ones without it, it would show report B. And then they would filter accordingly, depending on whatever the yes, no field is. And that's what I would do first.
That is something that I did think about, but our contracts team just wants to be in. They're going to be in here all day. You know, stuff comes in, and they don't want to go be filtering and such like that.
So is it just a thought, Ashley? Is it possible to create some sort of rule to evaluate that field, and if there's nothing stored, or if the attachment is no, maybe then replace that text with a blank? Is
that's what I was thinking. Was I just couldn't figure out, like, how do you actually run like a rule here on this column?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Right? Like it's kind of like an active form flow.
Yeah,
but not.
It's a good question.
What about
Tom
a
York? Like Radiohead. Oh my goodness. Sorry.
What about a rule filter? I don't think so, but
a rule filter.
There has to be a way to do this.
Give me just a minute. Let me see.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a way that we can actually jam with both of these things. Port row selection. Hang tight. Be a little quiet here.
Either way, we found a whole new section for the documentation.
just going to link in the doc page that I'm looking at. So we can, if anybody wants to look or what we're referring to here, because what this is doing is it should be filtering out these records based on this rule, trying to see if it'll apply to a specific field.
Oh, here we go.
Report field created on date. It looks like that's something we can actually do. But so I think what this will end up doing too is just changing up the report, like how it looks.
Yeah.
So I know.
Dave,
So
I have
another
a quick
thing-
question to dive into here. Sorry, Wilson, to kind of cut you
No,
off there.
I'll put a pin in it. Go ahead.
Okay. So when we're going and filtering this out, do you want this to filter to where you're only seeing if they need to go ahead and download the NDA, or do you want to be able to see all entries and then just have that specific line item over in that field either show or not show?
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's say, like, actually, like
last part?
these last two here actually do have an NDA. The rest do not. So these right here should be blank, and this should just say download NDA because these two only are the only ones.
What do you think of having, could almost do like a scheduled job if you wanted to, just run automatically. And it could do an update action on specific, like it could run this report and do any update actions on records. And what it could do is delete this field or not. Is this download NDA a string, or what kind of data type is that specific field?
That is a inline entity.
It's an
flow ID.
entity.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm wondering if there's a way to even have it be blank, you know?
Yep.
So
Yeah, and so we actually do have a rule in here because this is something that someone else a decision suggested.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, go get the cell by name, fetch the entities. By the way, the download part works great.
Yeah.
But then we even put in this rule to say, like, is it even attached? Oh, it's not. Great. Then just false. Like, don't even show this end form here.
I wonder if on that false path you could put an update, something to update this record. I think we're on the right track here. I think this is the flow we're going to need to use, because on the false path, if an NDA is not attached, you could run an update action on this specific record, because you already have the cell, right? Like it's already picking all the information you need. Have an update action and then have that update that download NDA field to be blank. So have it just be null if we can. I think that would be the ticket here. Especially since this is already built out. You already did all the fun work.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's try this. This should be under user-defined data types. If you scroll down on these steps, user-defined types, flow execution extension, I think you said it was.
Flow data extensions.
I think it's under, what is it under? Is it under?
Yeah, here it is.
Oh, okay, thank goodness.
That's
You're about to catch me out. So let's see. Fetch, get count, delete object. I think these guys use something special instead of update. Give me just a second so I can get that doc page too. This is under flow data extensions.
It'd be interesting. You'd think the action visibility rule could show up under here someday, but yeah, it's a different.
That would be ideal, right? So let's see.
Unless this is under it's flow.
All right, let me pop this in chat really quick. So this is what I'm looking at now. It's just the specific update part of this page. So they do not have an edit or selective edit, which is why we don't see it here. We are going to use a save step instead, is what it says. Entire object must be passed through and updated. That makes sense. Attempting to selectively update via build data may result in data loss. Okay, so we need to be careful here. Right. Any blank values passed into a saved build data would overwrite the value as null, which is what we want. So if you if you updated it in such a way or saved it where the that download NDA field were just blank, what should happen is that it'll update it in that report, and then that specific record would show up as blank, like it wouldn't have that field. And then anytime you pull that record, it'll run through this flow, and as long as it's blank or not blank, it should run that rule. And it would just update automatically, so it would automate it for you too. So these are the steps that I would follow in that case. Thoughts from panelists? What do you guys think?
That wasn't exactly what I was thinking. My
Let's-
logic
let's
was
see what
to think about
happens.
the flow.
Let's
Yeah.
see.
See
Because
if it'll update it as null.
yeah, let's try it out.
In theory, it should just run for a second.
Oh, let me get rid of this squiggle I have in here.
This is not Decision's fault, by the way, that it's so slow. We are updating our VPN infrastructure, and it's yeah, there we go.
Oh,
Okay, so that didn't work, but yeah, like
No.
this works, like that
Okay.
works, but yeah, like everything else just, oh yeah, so some of these actually do, well, actually individuals cannot have it. Yeah, so just, yeah. So, well, you know what? We could actually go turn on the global debugger.
I was gonna see if we could debug this in that other flow too, but global
Yeah.
debugger I think would also just be fine. And let's just see let's see just what the data is doing and how it's moving, because it should be something we can untangle.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So that there is a rule there on. Okay. It doesn't look like it's running that at all. Yeah. I mean, I have a color icon rule in there, of course, that, is it overdue? Is it
Right.
Doesn't.
I'm wondering if we
seem
could
to-
just debug that flow, or if we could grab any of these, the report ID or this like record ID.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, here we
Yeah.
go.
So this is working.
No value does not equal yes. So it's just this
Oh.
rule we need to update then. So this rule,
Okay.
yeah, let's go back into that rule.
Yeah. And let me turn off this global debugger because that could get.
Yeah, because then you're going to get everything lost. Is NDA attached? So it was getting no value in here.
So if I, yeah,
Which is-
okay. So here's the problem though. It's looking for this type. And then when you actually go down into the field, it's like, oh yeah, I can't do that. It's like, what?
Is NDA attached? Define type NDA requests. If you go entity result, use your, go in here, entity result. And then where is that NDA guy? NDA attachment. So would the NDA, oh, it's the
So the NDA
specific field that we want.
is-
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this NDA, well, I guess we could look for a null value in this, but
That's
yeah,
what I
this-
was thinking too. But if you wanted to use this, it should work either
This
way,
should be
right? Like,
simple,
yeah.
right.
So if you
But
use-
it doesn't like this for some reason, and I don't understand why.
It's expecting.
Probably
Go
the
ahead.
input in the rule. Did you define an input in the rule inside
Good
the
idea.
rule itself?
Yeah, let's check.
Yeah. Oops, sorry.
Inside the rule?
Where did
If
we
you click back on the rule again,
Click onto the rule
Oh, yeah.
it's right up here.
and then edit it.
Guys, I go away for like 4 days and I forget how to do everything.
I'm
Okay.
terrified of PTO, so I get
Right.
like
I know.
Okay,
Yeah,
So you
and
want
this
to
this is
evaluate the
our
string,
entity.
right?
we just want a string value for
You
this.
just
Yeah.
want a string.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where I always get screwed up, is that sometimes I go through the entity and it works, and sometimes I don't. And so
Understandable. It should be.
lesson learned. All right. So let's start.
If you,
over.
I was gonna say, if you click it and click back on, sometimes it kicks it back to normal, but this should also be solid.
All right, let's get out of here. And the worst part is like I had to go to a sales conference, and so like your brain can only do either development or sales and not both. And so my
do
brain
know.
is like, wait, what? Yeah, don't ever go into sales. Anyway, that's a miserable existence. Okay, so oh, why do you not like this?
So what are we trying to do here? We've evaluated the rule. We've got what
Yep.
we want.
What did it what did it say
then-
this time?
So this then I was just updating the save here to go and
Oh, okay. I thought we ran the
but
oh.
but
you wanna-
apparently it just wants the NDA request entity
Right.
result. So
Are you trying to overwrite the value in there in that field? What are you trying to do?
no, right?
So what this is going to do is it's going to bring in the entire result as an input into that save step. And then
Right,
what
but-
we need to do, go ahead.
But so if it's no, we're trying to get, are we trying to replace it with a null value, for example?
Yes, that's exactly it. Because then it'll show up
Oh.
as blank in the field.
All right, so you probably want to build the data and then like select null for that particular field
Okay, I see what you're saying. So if you go
on the
in the save step,
on the save step.
go here. And then right under, do build data.
Gotcha.
I'm going crazy with these annotations here. So what you should be able to do, I'm wondering if because the warning on the page was like if you
Just
could
set it.
accidentally overwrite some
Just
other
set it to
data.
null.
Yeah, just set that
I
one.
gotcha.
And then what that'll do is change it to null. Let me look at this doc page really quick because I want to see that blurb. It says the entire object must be passed through and updated. Attempting to selectively update via build data mapping may result in data loss. So in this case, I think what you'll need to do is just map in all of those data
Mhm.
pieces. What you could do is if you hit under ignore
Mhm.
and just did like select from flow. This is where it's going
Right.
to any of them, any
yeah.
other one than the
Yeah.
and if you do, so what you'll want is select the result, even though it's gray, and then you would find type of request and then map that
Yeah.
in.
I
That way
gotcha.
it's updating it with the right info. It might be easier to do it from that edit input mapping button up there.
Yeah. Now my question is going to be, is it going to like delete the entire record? Or what I mean?
It should just update because it's a save step.
Okay.
And so it shouldn't delete anything
Oh,
unless
sorry. I mean overwrite it in that. Well, no, it shouldn't
Well-
because of the rule.
So what you're doing right now by putting in all those inputs is to make
Mhm.
sure that even if it overwrites it with the original data.
right.
Gotcha.
So it might
Okay.
save as like new, right? It might say like every
Mhm.
record was updated at the same time,
Yeah.
but it would update with the correct information if the rule evaluates as false, right? Like if it doesn't, then
Right.
you don't have anything to sweat. This is just the only part that's like going to take you a minute.
Just
let me
a quick
just- yeah.
question. I'm not
Mhm.
sure what options there are under the flow execution extension. Do we have like a selective update step?
We don't for flow execution extension.
an
This
edit
is
step?
this is the way that it's supposed to be done.
It has to be saved. Okay.
Yeah, according to the documentation, this is what they're
Mm.
saying.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of flow execution extensions, so
Dave, how could you?
I mean,
You've upset
know,
Sandel now. Like
I have let's blame Brian from training. It's all his fault.
oh no.
That's who I learned it from.
That's
No,
fair.
there is a really nice infographic in the in your documentation that's like, here's how you use it and here's
Mhm.
why you should use it for this, because it meets this very specific
Do you mean
use
that big
case.
matrix or it's like
The big
float data
matrix,
types?
yep.
Yeah.
One-
unless
one
unless
quick
it's
thing.
wrong.
One
Yeah.
quick thing, I would map the IDs as well.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to map everything in that.
Yeah. Map the map the ID. Not necessarily everything, but just the ID.
And so the ID comes from here, right?
Yes, just drag
Yeah.
that. Yep. And then
Yeah.
is there an extension ID right there? Nope. Is there?
Yeah, in case you do anything else with these records, it's good to have that.
In your entity result is what I'd be
There we
looking
go.
at. Yeah.
I see.
Did it go? Yeah, it just takes a second.
Okay. Yeah, I would map
I
it
see.
from the entity result.
Does this need to be here?
Yep.
No, you're right. You're right.
Okay. Are you good to go? Oh, you don't need the deleted by. No, you don't need all that.
No. Okay.
Just the IDs. Yeah.
Good call. You don't want to, you don't want to lose those.
All right. Well, let's see
Okay.
what happens.
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
All right.
Okay, let's run it. Is this, I'm assuming because we're looking on the screen, but I see Radiohead Incorporated and then Tom York. And that has to be on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, good. Okay.
Yeah, these are all fake. Yeah. Oh God, I
Okay.
wish we were working with that. I mean, come
That'll
on.
be insane. Yeah.
Right. All right. So that's still showing up, but let's
look at our debugger. The farther down you go, the more in the future you are. Or whatever, closer to the present.
So I'll click one that I know. Okay.
It's NDA attention.
No value.
Can you, so it's still passing a no value, but it's evaluating this as false anyway. So it should be, overwriting that. I wonder if we could, can we go into the global debugger and look at that flow? Is that flow anywhere? I think it's that guy.
Right here, right?
Yes. Okay. So let's look at the data that's getting passed through. Input and output. You should be getting is NDA attached. NDA attached is null.
Null.
So it's not even getting anything from that.
So that's
I wonder if it would be, well, I would require rewriting the whole thing. Can you go into the rule, instead of doing equals, can you do is instead?
Yeah.
And try that. Because I'm wondering if it's like reading it weird because of that. Is yes. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
And then if this doesn't work, we have a plan C too, just to test that, but we'll take a step at a time.
I hope nobody else had questions.
I've been looking at chat. So far, I think we're all in this together now. But if anybody does have anything, please feel free.
Okay, let's see here. Let's click on.
Okay, let's try you again.
Oh, wait.
It's evaluating as false again.
Oh.
Still getting a null. Is NDA attached null? We set it as a string though.
Yep.
So
and it is a string.
All right, let's try plan C.
Is it possible that there are some values in there that do not have an input?
That is true. So yes, you are correct, because anything as a type individual will not have that. It'll be null.
Okay, then.
Okay.
So
can add
Oh,
another
wait.
condition.
Yeah, hold on. Also, let's just double, triple check this.
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, yeah, thank you for catching that, because that absolutely makes sense. Yeah, if I click something that does actually have a
Oh, it does evaluate as true. So at least you know the rules working.
there we go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, because not all of these will actually have that entry.
So
So
maybe what you want to do then, if it's null,
Mhm.
if it's null, you don't actually want to you don't actually want to evaluate that, right?
Or do you?
Because then if it's null, so what we're saying is if it's yes, then we want to, if it's not yes, we want to save it with the value null, right? So we're doing in
thanks.
that rule, because it's NDA attached. When it's false is when we go to that save step.
Mhm.
Right? So what we're saying is if, unless it is yes, well, if it's yes, we'll be ending. If it's no, then we want to save.
Right.
But we haven't
So would null and no be the same thing here? Like if it's
No.
empty, would we want
No.
it to evaluate as false?
if it's empty,
Or no value?
That means
like if there's no
that mean
value
yeah, if there's
there,
no value, then it shouldn't display anything, because there's nothing
right?
there.
If there's no value, then yeah, if there's a value, we wanted to evaluate.
you could change this to be like is no
Yeah.
and
Or not.
Yeah,
I would do not. So yeah. So down there, with that checkbox, no, you're doing it right.
Oh,
So right.
oh,
yeah.
is not null. Yeah.
Is not, yeah. So if it's not yes, then it's gonna be, well,
it's all double
actually,
negatives. It's however it's easier for you to read, to be honest. Like so yeah, I know. It's yeah, so you would want an extra condition to also evaluate for like the no value there. So you would add like an extra and one. Or
Gotcha.
or actually let me think. It might
Wait,
or
so-
might actually work here too.
So if it's null, we want to replace. No, we don't need to replace if it's null. We only need to replace if it's no, right? Or if it's
So
em-
just
yeah.
to so Dave, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that I'm clear too.
Yeah.
So we want it to, yeah. So we want this field to update as blank if there is a if there's nothing in that field, right? So if somebody
there's
doesn't click
either
anything,
if there's either no or null,
so what
it
you
should
can
be
do,
blank.
what you can do then, if you right click on either or here,
Yeah.
right click on one of that, you can delete that. So and then do add. We're going to change that next, but yeah, add a condition.
Mhm.
And then do is NDA attached is no or is not yes, whichever is easier.
Yeah.
I would put is no personally. Yeah.
Oh, is no. Okay.
Just because it's less double negatives for my brain to work through.
Yeah.
Because I'm not
No,
decisions,
exactly.
so I can't. And then is
so this
null.
one,
You would change that to just is null. Yeah. Or is empty might also be. If this doesn't work, we'll do is empty too. Because
you know
that might
what?
be.
Let's just do is.
I feel like, yeah, it's one of these guys. And then we'll try it here. And then we should be in business. I think this is the Sundell had a good call with the value there, because that no value is tricky.
Yeah, null is tricky. All
And
of
you
it
could
will.
debug straight from this flow here too, if you have like an ID for the report.
Shoot.
You don't, I mean, either way is fine. We've been working with that global debugger.
Well, I didn't save it because
Oh no.
Well, maybe it saved this part.
I think the rule will save. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, can we actually debug it from here? Okay.
You should be able to debug, yeah, straight from here, and it'll ask you what it needs. and you should be able to
Yeah.
just grab the ID from that report.
Uh,
Yeah, that folder ID.
Yeah.
So if you go into the report, like the big report, and grab that, or you could
Oh.
just do the global, whatever's, you know.
I'll just do the global.
Yeah. I could tell by the tone, like, global's good.
We got close, but not really. All
Hmm.
right.
We've
So
we've got to be here. What are you getting? It's evaluating as false, so it's doing what it needs to be doing now.
still getting a null. Okay. I'm willing to bet it's that
But
is
it's
empty.
evaluating the rule correctly now, I think.
Yeah.
So if you go into the if you go into one space under this, like down,
Oh,
and that, yeah, just under this guy here. Yeah, it should show us this rule. Yeah, so if, oh, I said and I should have told you or, yeah, I did tell you and.
It's I would have made the same mistake.
Yeah, that was my bad. Sorry about that.
How do you change that to an or?
What you can actually do is if you hit add, add either or group, and then you should actually be able to copy and paste those two guys up there, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, cut or move. No, yeah, you want to copy and paste them.
That would be
Or
really
cut
nice.
or cut and paste or whichever. You can test the hotkeys for me though, because I don't know if Control X and Control V will work.
Nope.
So if you right click here and then right click here with cut and paste.
Yep. So if I copy, yeah, it doesn't.
That's okay. We can just put these in here.
That's all right. It's not a big deal. Oh.
Oh,
That-
I knew I wasn't
Duh.
crazy. I was like,
All
I
right,
thought you
all
could
right,
do this.
okay. That's the most counterintuitive thing I've ever seen, but I'll allow it.
You
Okay,
simply
so
must right click. So that should be right. And then either
yeah.
this, and then just do the same with the one above it, and you can hit done. Yeah. And then what you'll do is delete those top two conditions once they're in the either or fields. Oh, grab the other guy, the is empty one. Or you might just be able to change it. Yeah, that's just as good.
And then what, we
delete.
just remove this?
Yeah, for sure. That way it doesn't try and evaluate those, and it'll just evaluate this either or field. And then
Okay, get rid of this one too.
yeah, for sure. And it'll just keep you with these.
Okay.
That's what we want. Save. I feel good about this one.
Okay. That's how you do an or. I was been trying to figure that out. That is so not intuitive,
Oh,
but I have
I'm
a good
glad-
UX suggestion.
I'm
Yeah,
glad we
is.
got it.
I was like, how do you get an or? Oh, I see. You kind of go
Yeah.
in, create it, then delete it. Yeah.
Yeah. Normally you do it like before you make the conditions, and then that way you don't have that extra hanging up one, but
Right.
I did tell you to make the and field, so I accept responsibility for that. I got something in chat here. Gotta jump. Oh, bye, Sindel. I know you're probably already gone. I'm watching the screen.
Okay.
So evaluated as true.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because it is true. NDA attached was no, because there is no, it doesn't ask that question on that. There's two paths. There's a company or there's an individual. An individual cannot use their own document. So we don't even give them that option. So that will always be null. However, I guess you could put a rule to say ignore anything that is individual, but solving the core
You could
problem
have
first.
another one. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but
But
this
this
should
is
be
technically
the jam.
correct. 'Cause
Yeah,
it
this
is
should be the
empty.
jam.
Yep.
Okay.
Now the question is why isn't it affecting the UI? I guess.
So we have it going down the true path is why, and the true path does not update the field. So because it's either or and it's going down that true path. So I think we need it to be not empty. Oh, this is where these double negatives really get me. Oh, so sorry.
All right. Either NDA.
It is the empty path, right? Because if it is full or is not empty, it should evaluate as true.
Right.
Hold on. Let me.
Yeah, hold
let's
on.
think through
Okay,
these.
yeah.
Let's think through these.
Yeah. Okay. So as a user, I come in and I say I select. I have two paths I can take: company or individual. Individual will never ask that question. Ergo, it's just a null field.
Okay.
If I am in a company flow, which is a completely separate form, it will ask a yes or no. So there will always be either a yes or a no, but no null is allowed because it's a required field.
Yeah, so if it's a required field, and if there's an NDA in that required field and that evaluates as no, then so the false path is the update path. So I have to think of this backwards because we don't want it evaluating as true in order to update. I think that's why I'm getting tripped up. So we need it to evaluate as false. So if it is yes, would be the key here.
Gotcha.
And then if it evaluates as yes, it's true. If path is empty, it'll also evaluate as true, I think. So let me see. But these are either or. So if this is either or, that means one of these would have to be met in order for it to evaluate as true. So I'm almost wondering if we need two rules. Yeah, because while you can branch and have these go on as long as you want, like you can nest these rules as much as you need to. I'm wondering now if having a separate rule, like you mentioned a second ago, is the key here, especially if by individual and yada yada, like you were mentioning. So ultimately, if it is yes, which what we're testing is always giving us a no anyway, I've noticed. So let's just keep this right here and save it. And then let's debug that same record. Because what we needed to do is evaluate also if nothing was in that field. All righty.
Let's see what happens here if we click this guy.
Yeah, let's look now. Why are you like this? Oh, now it's actually empty. Well, if it's empty,
should
so it is empty.
maybe we need an and. Yeah, sorry. So this is an individual request. Right? This will just be null. There's nothing in there because we didn't ask them the question. However, if it's company, it's either a yes or a no. There will never be a null.
Yeah.
So it's almost like there needs to be two rules.
I'm getting that too. You need a rule to evaluate if individual or company, because you're going to get basically different questions.
Yep. Yeah, we're trying to roll two things into one. Let me throw that in there real quick and branch it out.
Yeah, well, because I know we're just hitting the hour right now.
Yeah, we're at time. So
what I think we could do, or what I would say, I'll send you off with this, right? So if you go ahead and try and pick this apart so that it evaluates as like individual, just because that's what you're testing with right now.
Yeah.
And then if that gives you the result, like if you can get that report to disappear, then go ahead and build out that extra rule too, and then link it all together. Because the
Right.
key is making sure that we can even get that report to just disappear, or that record to.
That's where
Yeah.
I think I'm just, I'll play around with this. I might even just, I'll put in a rule that kind of diverts it. And I think that'll probably solve it. And if not,
Yeah.
I'll just email support and be like, hey.
Yeah. Tell them Ashley sent you. Well, no, don't say that.
Yep.
Don't say that.
No.
I'll get roasted in Slack. So, all right. I know,
Cool.
I appreciate you bringing that here. I know with the rules and with the reporting that I'm confident that that's the right track to take care of what you need. Because with the updating fields for the flow execution extension, I think we're in good shape. But with that, I can go ahead and close out. If there's any other questions or concerns, of course, we run these Monday through Thursday, same time, same bat time and channel, of course, noon to 1 Eastern. Until then, everybody have a wonderful rest of the day.